Cutscene 6. Vila. Luzmo woke and blinked a few times, before jumping to his feet and scrambling back until he hit a tree trunk. Rosene were everywhere, and though it did not look like it, he was their prisoner. His last clear memory was going to bed after Karyadanya. After that, it was half-remembered dreams and foggy memories of being given water or a little food. He had been much more agreeable than Elinsco and not resisted anything they did to him, though he had not really understood what was happening to him. His situation was not helped by the fact that this place was much louder than Carvinho, and it was unfamiliar. Luzmo did not like loud noises like this, and he also did not like unfamiliar places. They made him fidgety, which was why during festivals he usually ended up running back to the friary and hiding in his room. Sometimes, usually when all the village girls were trying to ask him to dance, so they could make a fool of him, or asking why he was not, he started shaking and crying, or seemed to stop being able to talk or really respond to anything. Luzmo had thought that he had gotten good at managing his issues with noises. Then, he had gone to Tonatera. The town he had ended up in was much louder than Carvinho, and as long as he had been able to get his hands in front of him, one had been in his mouth, being chewed on, or covering his ears while he made a low whining noise and chewed on his cheek. It was also part of why the woman working with Fiezo had only been able to buy Luzmo, and not Brother Josebo or Lady Quinia. The strong, collected Brother Josebo and Lady Quinia had been much more expensive than small Luzmo, who had been shaking and making some kind of whining noise the whole time, and seemed to be trying to eat his own cheek. His price had plummeted once he started crying. Brother Josebo later said there had been talk of killing him until the woman Fiezo was working with offered to buy him. Well, that took long enough. I was starting to wonder if you had been killed. Should not be too terrible. I do not care. Luzmo spun around and saw Lord Gageloso standing there, looking annoyed. It would have actually been very convenient if Luzmo had died, though not the end of the world. Luzmo started rubbing the medal of Saint Elminio that the friars had given him for his confirmation. Written around it, though he could not read it, was Ascelio Arminio, Garie Scendere. Saint Elminio, pray for us. Why am I? He began nervously. Here, alive. Believe me, I would have rather left you in that backwater, but we are asked to bring you here for some reason. Lord Gageloso shrugged. Luzmo would have much preferred it if he were left there as well. He was not entirely sure what backwater meant, but given Carvinho's size and the Michka's accent, he could guess. Who asked? Luzmo said. Lord Gageloso gave him a look that told him not to investigate that if he valued his life. Who are you? Luzmo asked. He noticed a couple buttons on his shirt were not buttoned, and it was not tucked in, and quickly did that. He hated both of those things, so, naturally, it was one of the things the other villagers would do to annoy him. He was also practically the only person in the village who buttoned his shirts all the way up. He had been asked several times before if the friars made him do that, and he had blinked in confusion and said that he just buttoned his shirts. Michka sighed. I am Lord Gageloso Gago, Lord Rosene. Despite everything, a smile rose to Luzmo's lips, and he squashed it, knowing it was bad to make fun of someone's name, especially if that person looked like he would much rather kill you. Lord Gageloso narrowed his eyes, but otherwise did not react. Yes, that is my full, real name. Yes, it is after Lord Gaga from back before Quinia was founded. My parents found it quite amusing, and so does everyone else. He sounded resigned as he continued. This happened a lot. His reason for hating his name was not only that it was a silly play on his species name, Nigalico, in Quinian, but also the connotations of Gaga, and the fact that it was an augmentative. His brothers' names were just as bad. One was named Falinho, which meant hungry, chosen by his father because of the common reaction of fathers when their children complain of hunger. The other was named Irio, which meant error, as he was the useless third son, neither the heir nor the spare. His niece's name was also bad, because for some reason Lord Falinho had not decided to break the curse and give his daughter a normal name. Her full name was Gugu Gaga. Ethicica came over. So the monk's boys awake? Luzmo was very confused when he saw her. Her voice and figure were certainly feminine, but she was also wearing pants, something he had never seen a girl wear. He knew that some girls wore pants, such as if they were soldiers and needed to be ready for battle, or Soledo during some missions, but he had never seen it. Frost boy, Luzmo muttered. He realized what he was doing and put his hands in his pockets, then started fidgeting with a crucifix. Her gaze snapped to him, he assumed. What was that? I don't even think monks, they're frost, he said, a little louder. He rubbed his side, not for any particular reason, just because he felt like he needed to move. She groaned. Oh, not this again! I don't care! They're the same thing! One of her former allies had also been very insistent on this. He was dead now, though not because his pedantry annoyed her. He shook his head. They frost travel, monks don't. I just said I don't care! Her hand hovered over her knife. Luzmo looked down. Lord Gageloso sighed. Ethira, do not kill him. Luzmo flinched, chewing on the inside of his cheek. Then he frowned, realizing how strange of a name Ethira was. She looked up at him. What? Do you think that's all I can do? I can do other things too. She sounded offended. Her tone darkened. Just ask our prisoners. Luzmo flinched, chewing quicker. This was clearly a very cruel girl. Crueler even than Gesha. He had practically thought she was a demon when he was younger, but now he doubted she was really that bad. Like Jarissa had told him, she had been hurt and was acting out. Luzmo frowned. An odd prisoner? He said. She chuckled. That's up to you. Luzmo knew that never meant anything good. He shut his eyes for a second and rubbed his ears, though that was because of all the noise around. Yes, now, you say you can do other things besides killing people, yet when it came to that monk, it was apparently the only option, Lord Gageloso said. Eligaro, he betrayed us. I couldn't just let that go, especially couldn't have him running around with what he knew. Luzmo pressed his lips together, annoyed that she had not used his proper title, and possibly not even his religious name. Unlike Elinsco, he did not correct that, partly because he did not know what this person's religious name was. He was a monk, said Lord Gageloso. Ethira looked like she was rolling her eyes. Oh, Lord, you ain't killed no monks. I do not like them, but we should not go out of our way to kill them. They are no threat to us. They stay in one place and keep to themselves. Ethira looked up. Not when they know what we've been doing. He did not try to tell anyone. He hid, Lord Gageloso said. Luzmo rubbed his ears again. He wanted to leave, but knew they would not let him. He wanted to go home and be back with the friars. He wanted to chant the prayer cycle and go to Lagaria with them. I can't believe you're saying that I shouldn't have killed a monk, Ethira laughed. You, Gageloso! Lord Gageloso narrowed his eyes. Lord Gageloso. Anyway, killing people is always messy. It would have been better to just bring him back and make sure he never left. I could have done that, I guess, but killing seemed safer, said Ethira. Lord Gageloso sighed. Perhaps. Ethira took out a pear and began to cut it, looking back to Luzmo. So why's that here? She knew the answer to the question, but asked anyway. Luzmo flinched. I do not know, but this is what we were asked to do. Lord Gageloso also knew the answer to the question, but he played along with Ethicica. I would assume he is supposed to help us, but I do not know why we were asked to bring him. Ethicica laughed. A monk's boy! Whoever heard of such a thing? Frost boy, Luzmo muttered again. He had started sweating. Ethicica stopped suddenly and glared at him, he assumed. What was that? Nothing. Sorry. Good. She looked back to Lord Gageloso. So why him? How's he supposed to help us? Tell all our secrets to the Archbishop? Pray until our enemies die? I ain't no priest, and I ain't the Archbishop's spies, or any bishop's spies, Luzmo said. His voice sounded strangled. He felt stiff, like he could not move. Everything felt rigid and tense. This included seemingly forgetting how to breathe without thinking about it. She looked like she was rolling her eyes. Course you'd say that. I do not know why he does what he does, and, Lord Gageloso said. She gave an exasperated sigh. Forget I asked. She ate the pear, somehow managing not to reveal too much of her face. Lord Gageloso frowned. How many of those do you have? Where do you keep them? It don't matter. Lord Gageloso muttered something, then looked up. It's getting late. We You should organize the night guard. Barashon, Bornira! Barashon the mage, and another Michka with grey and cream fur came over. The fur of the grey and cream Michka was curly. She was carrying a spear and wearing a dark red dress. Yes, your Gaganis? Asked the mage. Make sure the provincial, he said, glaring at Barashon. All right now, monk, Luzmo interrupted. He was looking down, still trying to remember how to breathe continuously. Lord Gageloso turned his glare on him, and he looked at his feet. Sorry, he said. His voice sounded quieter, but still choked. Sorry, my lord, Lord Gageloso corrected. Luzmo managed to nod. Sorry, my lord. He felt his face heating. He had spent the past 4 years trying his best to forget everything that had happened in Tonatera, but was still embarrassed by his slip. Only 4 years after such a mistake would have gotten him a slap to the face, he had forgotten how to address a lord. Better. Do not interrupt me again, boy. Lord Gageloso looked back at the Michki. Make sure he stays here and stays alive. We have gone through too much trouble to bring him here, and he wants him for something. They nodded. Yes, your Gaganis, said Barashon, though he was a bit annoyed that he had been assigned to this task. He thought it was beneath him. Lord Gageloso glared at him, then left with Ethicica, while Barashon and Bornira worked out a schedule for the night and then talked. Luzmo leaned against his tree and then sat down, breathing quickly and shallowly and trying not to start crying. He missed the friars and wanted to go home. He had only left Carvino once, and this camp seemed so loud. He felt like he had when he was in Tonatera, overwhelmed by all the strange sights, smells, and sounds. He curled up, rocking, then lay on his side, crying and gasping, clamping his hands over his ears. He wished the friars were there. They did not know why he seemed to get overwhelmed more easily, but they had figured out a few ways to deal with it, though they mostly involved going somewhere quieter, which he probably could not do. Eventually, he managed to sleep. In his dream, he heard a strange voice. I can help you, lad, the voice said. It was a man's voice, deep and melodic. There was a strange echo to his voice, a feminine whisper. Who are you? Luzmo asked. I am the one who asked, and I can help you. Help me? Well, you deserve friends too, don't you think? You couldn't find them in that town you came from, but you can find them here, and the Soledo have wonderful cookie recipes. Luzmo blinked. I wanna come home, he said, hating how small his voice sounded. Home? Said the voice. You mean back to that backwoods village where no one loved you? The friars do, Luzmo said. I suppose, said the voice, but they aren't going to be there forever. At some point they were going to go back to their wandering, and unless you joined them or found a wife, you would have to live on your own. He frowned. He did want friends. Growing up, the closest he had to friends were the friars in Jarissa, but he was not terribly close with Jarissa, and the friars were more like fathers, and living with them, and being small and strange, had ruined him socially. No one had wanted to be friends with the monk's boy. Izo and Fiezo had forged a friendship out of bullying Luzmo, overcoming the negative opinions most of the villagers had of Soledo. Most of the other children and even their parents were not much better, and Gesha was worst of all. He had never been able to find the will to tell the friars just how bad it had been, and always made an effort to hide all the bruises Gesha had given him. The friends Fiezo had made in Tonatera and brought back were nice enough to him, but Luzmo did not usually talk to them unless they had a theology question for him, with how close they were to Fiezo. Of course, it was a dream, but he knew dreams could have meaning. They could be visions of the past or present, or a way to talk to someone. All you have to do is accept their offer, lad, said the voice. Think about it. When Luzmo woke, he remembered it perfectly. This, as well as the general coherence, gave evidence to the theory that this was some kind of message, promising that joining whoever that was would give him friends and perhaps cookies. He was contemplating this when Lord Gageloso came over. Well, boy, it has been confirmed that you are here to join our forces. Why he would choose a boy raised by monks I do not know, but it is not my place to question him. This was only part of the truth, and the confirmation had not been needed, but the offer was unattractive as it was, without Luzmo knowing what they really wanted from him. Friars, Luzmo muttered. I will pretend I did not hear that. Anyway, what is your answer? Luzmo thought about it. He had meant what he said in the dream. No matter how childish it sounded, he wanted to go home. He did not like this place. It was too noisy and unfamiliar. Garvinho might have been a backwater no one had heard of, and the villagers had not liked him that much, but it was quiet and familiar. He at least wanted to tell the friars what had happened to him. They must have been worried sick. On the other hand, the voice did have a point. The friars were not going to stay in Garvinho forever. At almost 20, he was lucky they had not left already. Without them, who did he have? No one, really, except perhaps Jarissa, who had moved to another town. Also, considering how casually Ethicica had talked about killing, what she had said about his status and the reputation of the Rosene, he doubted that refusing them would result in anything good for him. Yes, Luzmo said. Yes, I'll join you. Lord Gagel also smiled. Good, because if you did not, this would be much harder than it needs to be. Now come with me. I must tell everyone what has happened. Luzmo assumed this meant he would have been killed. This was untrue. Luzmo nodded and followed him to the center of camp, where Lord Gagel also told everyone of the situation. Afterwards, he was not sure what to do, so he returned to his tree. Good morning. Soledo's greeting startled Luzmo. She was a fairly thin woman around his age, with brown eyes and white blonde hair and a French braid, and spoke with an Rosene accent, something Luzmo had only ever heard from Brother Josebo. Unlike other Soledi, she was not wearing a mask, just a kerchief. He liked that. It made her seem less intimidating, reminding him that the masked Soledi were just elves like him. Elves with weapons and a reputation of being very good spies and assassins, but still just elves. Good morning, said Luzmo. She smiled. My name is Vila. What's yours? Luzmo. Her smile widened, and he found himself returning it. Nice name. He nodded. Yours is too. The prophet Vila, brave man. You know the story when he went against everyone to defend that girl Yeshanya? Vila was what was known as a major prophet, which did not actually say anything about how significant of a prophet he was, but rather how long his book was. The first 6 months were named after the major prophetic books, and the last 6 after minor prophets. Vila frowned. No, I don't think I do. She smiled, looking a little embarrassed. I can't read, really. Neither can I, Luzmo said. He blushed. But I was raised by Dalerians, and my bedtime stories came from the Levong. He winced, expecting one of the old rude comments. She nodded. Your parents are dead, then? Luzmo blinked. You don't think that's strange? She shook her head. That happens a lot, doesn't it? Monks or friars raising an orphan. That's what I've heard. Villagers always made fun of me because of it, though. And yes, my parents died when I was a baby. She looked at him sympathetically. I'm sorry for both of those things. I've got a brother, but he's a lot older than me, and we haven't talked in a while. I hear he's got a wife and children. He smiled. That's good about your brother. You ever put any thought into it? She frowned. Into what? Your vacation. She blinked, wondering if he was flirting with her. Oh, not really, she laughed. I was a little girl. I wanted to be a nun. Now look at me. What about you? Well, not religious life, I'm sure, Luzmo said. I like helping people like what the Dalerians do, but I just don't think it's what I'm called to. For one thing, I'd have to wake up at Yorahenya. Marriage or priesthood, maybe, but not religious life. Guess I can't be a priest now, though, with all this. She nodded. Yes, Ethicica doesn't really like church things. Priests are spies as far as she's concerned, which is a little ironic. Luzmo frowned. But we still go to Lucaria, right? The idea of not doing that was almost unthinkable to him. The only time he had not gone to Lucaria, despite being healthy, was a time he did not like to think about. Vila nodded. She doesn't want us to, but some of us still do. He would. So she's Ethicica then? Yes, Lord Cacalosso's the only one who ever calls her Ethira. He does that with everyone. Cares enough to call them by name. Anyway, Ethicica's not too fond of weddings either. I don't want to go into detail, but there was an incident, and the last person who entered religious life died. He nodded. Elicaro? She nodded. Yes, him, but we probably shouldn't talk about it. He nodded. He did not know much about Ethicica, but he was sure it would be a bad idea to make her mad. Well, more than she already was. He liked Vila, though. Maybe she could be a friend.